8:35. Dixon Dividing Talk 99.5, Talk99.5.com. Thanks for tuning in, hanging out with us, and being a part of the 13 hours of live and local programming that we do every Monday through Friday right here at 99.5 on your FM dial and on our app, which, by the way, have heard that there is, in fact, a problem with our app that we do have.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it'll fix itself. Sometimes we'll have to address something. So, y'all, we'll work on that as quickly as we can.
We're going to sit around and wait for it to fix itself?
Sometimes it does.
Can we do that?
Sometimes it's,
Alrighty.
things are going on the app that are out of our control, but certainly look into it. That would be me looking into it.
I understand.
You know the truth.
Somebody's looking into it.
That'll be doing it. Yep, I'll
ain't
be
me.
handling that just as quick as I can get to it.
Jack Ranger tells me that he has talked to a one owner, piece of property owner, who said, I finally went on your website to learn about how auctions work. Because as much as I begged my agent to find another way to get a transaction on my real estate, the only words that came out of his mouth was, we need to lower the price. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the question is, does price create demand, or does demand create price? Well, it's the latter, obviously. When you realize that it is, in fact, the demand that drives the price, then what you need to do is allow the demand to take place. In other words, get a bunch of people, qualified buyers, in front of your property, cash in hand, ready to bid upon that piece of property. Now you've got a lot of demand. And the next thing you know, you've got a price that makes sense, and you're going to get the best market value. And that's what's really important. And you're not just guessing. A lot of guesswork involved if you're not doing it this way. You know the date of sale, you know the date of close. You realize that the buyer's paying the closing cost and the cost of sale, which is great. So much to go into it. No punch lists and no contingencies and none of the stuff that goes along with a standard listing agent sale. And by the way, if you have a listing agent, Jack Ranger wants to talk to them too. It's just another tool to use to help sell that property at the best market value. GTauctions.com to find out more. GTauctions.com. Check them out there and thank me later, because you're going to thank me later. Virtually guaranteed. You may have noticed that recently there have been some polls that have been so hopelessly off. And there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, I'll tell you who could probably give you the best explanation of that is Leland Whaley. He used to be on the inside of these things. You know, he worked for Governor Riley for years. And, you know, the way that we poll has changed. We used to call landlines during dinner hour.
People would answer the phone.
Yes,
Hello.
You knew they were there. It's harder and harder to do. When you had the landlines during dinner hour, you knew who you were calling, you knew the demographic you were calling, you knew the neighborhood you were calling, so you were able to pretty much ascertain who it was you were talking to in every case. Now you're calling cell phone numbers, you're hoping for the best. Or you're texting. We're getting these texting polls, which to me, I just find it difficult to believe that that's actually going to create any sort of accuracy whatsoever. And certainly it doesn't help. Well, remember in 24, when that poll came out that said that Kamala Harris was up by 13 in Iowa. And I looked at it and said, I guarantee she's not. In fact, I guarantee she's going to lose Iowa. She's probably going to lose it by 5 or 6 points. She lost by 7. That's how far off these polls have become. And it doesn't help when you then have a so-called polling organization that comes out and says, oh, by the way, we're not actually a polling organization. We're a social experiment.
Isn't that nice? Wow. Yeah, we're seriously better off looking at some of the betting sites when it comes to elections and who is predicted to win, because it does a much better job than any of these polling things. And again, we can just look to our own lives when the phone rings or you get that text message. How many of us respond to it? I bet the percentage is extremely low. And so how really well is that polling being done when people aren't responding. They aren't answering their phone. They aren't answering the text. How accurate is that poll? And nowadays, it's just like they're not. It's not. It's
Nope.
not reliable.
No. We certainly saw that in Wisconsin. And this Median Strategies organization was one of the polling organizations that had the really hardcore socialist candidate up by 20, I believe. They had her up by 20. She lost by a half a percentage point. But that's
Still close.
you're
but
way off.
You were way off,
you
right?
were way off. And then they came out and they said, "Oh, by the way, we didn't actually poll anybody. We were just making this up. We were just throwing numbers out there."
Which is terrible. Don't call yourself a polling company that you actually do this. And then the whole thing was just a joke, an experiment.
Well, there's a couple of things that go into play here, and people don't think about them much anymore, but it used to be a fairly large deal. If you were able to put out a poll that said, "My guy is so far ahead, there's no point in you showing up," a lot of people would go, "There's no point in my showing up. I don't know why I'm bothering." I mean, when it came to Nixon in, it was 72, I believe, right? Yeah, 68, 72. And it showed that he was so far ahead of McGovern that a lot of people who might have voted Democrat just were like, "Never mind, no point. I'm not going." And consequently, he won 48 states, I believe. Pretty huge. I think the same was true with Ronald Reagan when it came to Walter Mondale. There were a bunch of people who just looked at the lopsidedness of that race and said, "There's no chance. Why waste my time?"
And back then, the polls really were probably fairly accurate, and now they're not.
No.
There's no way. So that's why it's so important. No matter, I think too about the presidential election when it was Trump and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And where everything was trending toward her. I think that for me, that's when it was like, okay, these polls really, really aren't giving us a real lay of the land and what's going on here. That's why it's so imperative that you go to the polls. Forget what the polls say, but go vote on voting day. Go vote, because they just seem to be so incredibly inaccurate.
I would actually go back to 2000. I think Bush and Gore was the one that kind of made me go, because everybody had Gore up by a couple of points. They were all like, "Oh yeah, he's going to win. There's no question." And then it all came down to Florida, and it came down, like I said, a few hundred votes in the long run. But George W. Bush actually won that thing with the Electoral College. Now, Gore did win the popular vote. A few years later, you obviously had Bush beating back John Kerry, and the polls were actually relatively accurate in that case, which was kind of interesting. Polls were relatively accurate when it came to John McCain and Barack Obama. Not so much so when it came to Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. In fact, it is widely believed that if Mitt Romney had a better get-out-the-vote campaign, he might have unseated Barack Obama in 2012. But he just didn't have the ability to marshal forces to get to the polls. Then you had the Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump situation, which shocked everybody. Conventional wisdom. I mean, look, I'm sitting here with Leland Whaley on election night, and the New York Times had this, what would you call it? It was a dial, basically, and it had a needle on it, a gauge. And the chance of Donald Trump winning that night was 1%, and the chance of Hillary winning was 99%. And as the night went on, that needle moved and moved and moved and moved until it got to 50-50, and then it got to a little more than 50-50, and then suddenly everybody stopped counting or stopped reporting.
And it got quiet.
Yeah.
For a little bit. It got really, we're like, what's going on here?
It was about a half an hour. We got no results in, and Leland was like, "Something funny's going on here." And the funny thing was, MSNBC had called Pennsylvania but hadn't called Wisconsin. CNN had called Wisconsin but hadn't called Pennsylvania. There was another organization that had called, there was just, everybody chose the swing state that they weren't calling. Mm-hmm. Because if they called it, it would be Trump's race. And you thought, well, if all of them are right, then Trump definitely won. There's not really a question about that. Nobody could bring themselves to actually say that out loud
No one wanted to pull the trigger
until
on it.
Fox News finally did.
Yeah.
Fox News finally came out, and then the dam broke and everything came tumbling out, which was fascinating. But yeah, we've been watching these polls get worse and worse and worse over the years, and some of it certainly has to do with the fact that there's a super bias involved, and some of it has to do with the fact that the methodology has had to change because the way we do things has changed. We're no longer
The landline is gone.
we're not tied to the
We're
dinner table
not.
and the landline at 6 p.m. any longer.
No.
So
And a lot of us aren't picking up and answering our phone. If you're not a contact in my phone,
yeah.
I'm not answering the phone.
And,
Leave a message.
And if you are a contact in my phone, I'm not answering the phone. How about that?
For
I'm not
Richard,
answering
yeah.
the phone under any
But I
circumstances.
mean, just you're
How
not.
about this?
It's not. I'm not even. It's not even close.
No.
If I don't recognize the number, I'm 9 times out of 10, unless I'm expecting a call that maybe isn't somebody I would normally have in the phone. You'd answer it.
I'm going to need you to text me before you call me.
Hey, are you available?
I need.
This is so and so.
How dare you call me without setting up an appointment to call me? 8:47 with Dixon inviting Talk 99.5. Stick around.
This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius.
8:52. Dixon and Vining, Talk 995, talk995.com. From the musical Hair. Age of
Or from your
Aquarius.
childhood. I remember Mom playing this in the car,
Good point.
cranking it up
It was
as
all
I
over
sit
the-
between the two seats,
Mhm.
standing up, going down the road.
Yeah. Dancing in the back seat.
Right. No seatbelt flying around. Did you ever get up and sleep in that shelf
Of course.
the back of the car
Absolutely.
where the window was?
Absolutely.
You just crawl up in there.
Some of the best
like
sleep
the
you'll ever-
dogs and cats get into.
Best sleep you'll ever get as a kid is in that shelf back there.
Think about that. Once again, Richard, we are, by the grace of God, we are alive.
Yep. It's true. Both because we're old and because we did a lot of stupid stuff. 8:53 with Dixon and Vining, Parrot Structural Services, parrots.com, 668-2626. When the foundation starts to go south, these are the guys you want on your side. You know, they can straighten out a slab. You talk about like your driveway. You ever look at your driveway and go, why is this thing going cattywampus on me? What is going on? One corner's way down there and this corner is coming up and I don't understand it. What is the story? Well, they can grout pump that sucker, get it right back up to where it's supposed to be. Or if you've got it busted into pieces and you want to maybe seal up some of those cracks, they have that ability as well. They do that with basement floors and garage floors all the time as well. It's slab jacking is another way that they do that with, you know, if your house is on a slab rather than a traditional foundation, and they got the helical pier system. It's really much a solution for every problem is what they have, not a one-size-fits-all thing, which is really fantastic because, you know, you don't want a one-size-fits-all. Maybe it doesn't fit your size. They love to claim that. As a guy with a remarkably large head, I know that one-size-fits-all is a big lie. That's Parrot Structural Services, parrotss.com, 668-2626. parrotss.com. Yeah, if I'm buying a hat online, there's only two places I will go. One is the Village Hat Shop, and the other is Hats in the
Because
Belfry.
they have big hats.
Well, I know that they're sized properly.
Mm.
Somebody bought something for me online. I don't remember. I want to say it was like 2 years ago, and it was XXL, so double XL.
Didn't fit right.
Double XL if you're a Chinese,
It
apparently.
came down over your eyes.
No, this was actually a shirt, and it was
Oh.
tiny.
Oh,
It was a tiny. I was like, XXL if you're Asian, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because this thing wouldn't even come close to fitting my body, and that's why I tend to not buy clothes online because you can't trust
well,
them.
it's hard.
It has to.
Everybody makes things a little different.
Yeah. I mean, shoes are shoes. You know, a size
Well,
11's a size 11. A size 12's a
Even
size
then, sometimes,
Really?
you know, at half a size, I'm like, nope, these don't fit right.
12.
I've done that online, but once you find the make, like a particular sneaker or something like that,
Right.
you can rest assured that it's correct.
Like my Merrill
But
Jungle Box.
if you change it up, like
Mm-hmm.
you go with, you know, Merrill instead of, you know, I don't know, Clark's or something like that, they can be a little bit different.
Absolutely.
You're like, this is a little too small.
Sometimes a 12 fits perfectly, sometimes not even close. Penn State frat. I love the fact that they're referring to this guy. This is Agostino Abatiello, the guy that was on the run, but they managed to pick him up.
Yep, they got him.
Mm-hmm. They're referring to him as Pablo Plejskabar.
I really love the picture too, because they've got him looking like an Urkel
Yeah.
type student,
Right.
where they put the glasses on, the hair is all poofed up on top, and he's got a suit and a tie on. I'm like, oh right, yeah, okay, we're cleaning up the.
Yeah.
I'm a drug cartel leader.
Giant knot in that tie as well. Like it looks like it came from the 1970s.
Yeah.
Where is that giant knot coming from here? He is 24 years old. He turned himself in Tuesday morning, arraigned and denied bail. And yeah, he's, wow. We're finding out now that they used Cash App and Snapchat
Not hard to trace some of that.
to arrange drug deals.
Yeah.
Well, Snapchat supposedly disappears shortly after
It
you
does.
use it.
But still,
It's always on a server somewhere.
well,
It's always on a server
the
somewhere.
Savannah Guthrie thing did it. It was like,
Yeah.
well, she's not logged into anything. She's not signed up for anything. Well, they found some imagery on there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That's all I need to know
Yeah.
that Big Brother is watching you at all times. You know, they were talking about kilos of cocaine coming
Yeah.
through. Kilos. That's what is a kilo? 2.6 pounds, something like that? It's crazy.
Not sure about that.
Hmm.
When you talk about drugs,
1.6
and
pounds?
kilo,
That's, well, I mean,
we could look it up.
2.2 pounds.
2.2 pounds.
Oh,
Live and learn. You think we should know that? We were the group in school that we were being taught the metric system. Remember?
I do.
And we were told over and,
And
over
we-
again, everyone's going to be using
when
this
we
soon.
refused, we were like, "No, we're not. No,
Yeah.
we're not. This is never going to happen."
We're all gonna be using it before long.
Mm.
You better go ahead and learn it, kids. And then we took the time and we learned it, and we found out it
No,
really
didn't
only
need it.
it's alcohol and soda are the only things really that we're still, and millimeters for firearms.
Well, that's kind of important to know that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's basically all we got, man. You're like, why did we take the time to learn all this stuff? Alabama was the only state stupid enough to put up the mile markers in kilometers. Everyone was supposed to do it, and we did it first. We put it all on the interstates and everywhere, and nobody else did it. And we were like, okay, we'll take them down.
Yeah, thank you.
Too confusing.
I'm not learning kilometers. It's
too
like learning
confusing.
another language.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah,
Can't teach this old dog new tricks.
no, I'm with you.
I refuse.
Well, I mean, once you learn such common things that just make sense, like 12 inches to a foot, and then, of course, 12 feet to a yard. No, 3 feet to a yard. Never mind.
Yeah.
How many yards to a mile? Nobody knows.
Well, yards 3 feet. You do the math.
Figure it out.
I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I do math?
We don't have to.
5,000.
We,
I didn't know
we
there
do
was gonna be a
radio. We
test
don't.
today.
That's right. We do radio. We don't have to do math.
5,280
Here.
feet to a mile. A number
Turn
that's
this
easy
over
to remember.
Turn this over to Danny Knowles. I don't want to do any math, Danny. You figure it out.
It's 9 a.m. with Dixon and Vanning on Talk 99.5 and Talk99.5.com. I love that Washington bit on Saturday Night Live with Nate Bargatze. Just hilarious. 5,280, a number that anyone can remember. Sure. All right. Your calls are always welcome. Your texts as well, 545-9950. Drop us a line if you'd like to opine. Why don't you?